Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of So Chatty with Walter and myself. And it's September the 22nd, and it is episode 115. So, how are you today?
Okay.
This is what they do on talk shows on TV. And what did you have an exciting weekend? How's your week been?
All right.
Yeah, we'll never make it on a talk show. Okay. So, what am I going to start off with today? Projects to date. I should have them here and I can show you. Yes, here we go. So let me just get this up on the screen. So you've seen this, but now it is completely done. And that's the Cats and Bats quilt. Yeah, it's a panel. I will talk more about it in detail on next week's Idiot Quilter. There is sort of a little customization. I know, every time you hear me say customization, you know, there's a mistake. Well, it's not really a mistake, it's just a oops in this, but you already saw the one oops, okay? When I showed this and we had the little, not really a contest, but, you know, find out where...
There's more oopses?
There's an oops on the back
when
I quilted it on Lucy. But, yeah, and I'll talk about that on the Idiot Quilter next week. But anyways, it's done. I'm happy with it. It'll do. Yeah, there you are. And I'm working on Stephanie Stitch's Bloom. Oh, shit. Where did it go?
That's the shed.
Okay, that's not what I wanted. What's happening here? Maybe I'm not going to show it to you. Oh, there it is. How did it get down there? Okay. This is what I wanted to show you. Okay, there you go. This is her bloom and grow pattern. And actually, I took that picture this morning, but since then I've been working on it. So I have more of the rows together, and I'm working on the sashing right now. So it's coming along quite nicely.
I like that. That looks really nice.
Oh, high praise, high praise.
Of course, I bought the fabric. So.
Yeah, of course. And it's Stephanie's... pattern.
Yeah,
always like Stephanie's patterns. But anyways, yeah, it's coming along very nicely. What's Walter been working on? Walter was putting up shed shelves. Let me find those.
A shelf.
Or a shelf. Okay. Here we go. When he said he was building a shelf out in his little she shed, or his he shed, he shed, she shed, I was thinking, you know, a couple of pieces of angle iron and a board. So that's how I would have built it. And I would have struggled with that, I can tell you. But no, look at this sucker. It looks like a loft. You know, you can put a bed up there on the thing.
Well, it's 8 feet wide by 24 feet, or 2 feet deep. So
yeah, so
yeah, it's up a little bit higher because I wanted a place to put stuff that was on the floor that wasn't necessarily too heavy. And that to get it off the floor because it's using up space on the floor.
Well, I'm surprised that you were concerned about things on the floor.
Yeah, well,
that's one of his handy tips: how to store things. Throw it on the floor. Yeah.
Yeah, my bedroom's a bit of a mess.
Then just cut a path through it.
Sewing room's a bit of a mess.
Yeah. But anyways, I thought that's quite a nice shelf. So. And do you have plans to build any more?
Well, I'm sort of toying with doing the second one, but I'm not sure whether to put it on that side or whether to put it on the other side or what. I got to figure out. See, the other side has ladders on it and stuff like that, and it won't fit on if I put a full wide shelf on it. So I may, if I can figure out if I can put the ladder somewhere else, or I might build another shelf underneath this one. Because I was thinking this is the side where I'd put the lawnmower on too. So I can put another shelf down a little bit lower like this one. And then it'll give me extra storage on that one side.
Now, not to criticize, and I don't have a picture of it, although I do have a video that's going up on my vlog next week of Walter talking about his shelf in a little bit more detail, and you get a better shot of it and in the inside of the shed. But this one far corner over here kind of hangs out in front of the window.
Yeah, it does. I mean, we have these little windows in the shed, and I could either make the shelf skinnier and not have it hang over the window, or I could have made, or I could put it up a little higher or a little lower. If I put it up a little higher, then I wouldn't have as much space in the top. So I thought, well, it's only a little window in a shed. Who cares if you see something in front of it?
Well, you put a nice colorful
So the
sheer on
purpose
it.
of the window is just let light in.
Yeah, I know, but I had to say that because he would have found something about my quilt to say, and always does. So I get so few opportunities that I have to
Yeah, so it
pull
hangs a
anything.
little bit
Yeah.
over top of the
Fine,
window. So
fine.
who
As long
cares?
as
I
it
don't
doesn't
care.
bother you, that's
Doesn't
fine.
bother me.
Okay, well, that's good. That's all that matters. I don't go out there in his little private shed. Who knows what he does out there for hours and hours? Sits there, contemplates the walls, whatever. Okay, so moving on to announcements. Of course, this coming Wednesday, Sewing with Stephanie and Stephen. You know all about that. Links in the show notes, blah, 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 blah. Now, let's talk a little bit about the retreat update. You know that my original plan was I was not going to open it up to the general public until October the 1st, but I had early registration with those people that I call alumni. They were people who were at the spring retreat. Well, I've had a great response from them to the point of where we got up to about 50, and I can handle about 93. So I'm thinking, maybe I better open it up a little bit earlier because I want people who are new to my channel, that haven't been around, to have an opportunity to, if they wish to sign up for the retreat, to sign up for it, because I don't want to make it seem like it's elitist. If I could have more people than 93, I would. But the problem is my Zoom license. I pay for a Zoom license that gives me 100 spots. And 7 of those spots I have reserved because I need 3 of them for my guest presenters, and I need 3 for my computers, and I need 1 for Walter. So, yeah, I did look into how much it would cost me to have the next tier up. It's astronomical. I mean, right now I pay a reasonable amount. I pay about $22 a month for Zoom for what I have right now. But to go to the next tier, it was going to be more than double that every month. So, yeah.
It's considering it's only something you use a couple of times.
Well, yeah.
Well, actually, there hasn't been too much of a need to go beyond 90.
Not for my pop-up sew days or anything else like that. So that's why I don't do it. So I did post an announcement video this morning on the channel that gives you all the details about the retreat, the things that actually the people who got the early registration opportunity, I already sent them this same thing in printed form. So now this is out there for the world, so you can check it out. And if you've never been to one of my retreats, it'll give you everything you need to know on that. But it is open now. And since I put up that announcement, I'm now up to about 63 people registered. I only have 30 spots left. So, if you're hemming and hawing about it, if you're not sure, if you're going to sit around and wait until the last minute, you may not get in if you want to get in. So you need to commit. Okay. All right. There may not be a So Chatty next week. Here's why. I belong to, and you've heard me mention it before, to a paid membership site called The Quilter's Way. I've belonged to it since its inception, so about 6 years. When I first started in quilting, really, is when I joined it up. And the owner, operator, moderator of that site is a friend of mine, and she lives out in Calgary, and she's coming out here to Ontario, to our area, because she has a wedding to go to, and they're having a little bit of a vacation. So she is doing a meet and greet at our house on next Friday, and it happens to fall in when we usually do So Chatty. Now, having said that, and I say there may or may not be a So Chatty, is in a perfect world, what I would really like to do is, since I have her here that day, and there's not going to be many people for the meet and greet because most of her clientele come from the States, so they're not coming up here for that. And if it's all right with her, I haven't bounced the idea off her yet. I'll wait. I'll surprise her with it. I'd like to interview her. on Chatty to talk about the Quilter's Way, how it got started, what it's all about, what her goals are for the future, and how it has changed over the 5 or 6 years that she's been running it. And it's sort of a promotional thing as well, because a lot of people don't know this exists. And, it would be nice to get some new blood in there too. But I don't know yet. She may not want to do that. And if that's the case, then I won't, of course, do it. So yeah, there may or may not be a So Chatty next week. So if you don't see a So Chatty next week, that's because there isn't one. Yeah, I think that made sense. All right, what are we talking about today? Well, you saw in the clickbait. Quit playing footsies with me. It's called random crap. I would have used the word shit, but YouTube doesn't like you have that kind of thing in your title. Anyways, what does this mean? Well, I got thinking about, different things that I do, things that other people might find useful, everything from certain tools to techniques to whatever, just kind of random stuff. And Walter's got some stuff too for, more geared towards people who sew garments, and mine's more geared towards quilting. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about these things. Maybe some of this stuff is old news to you. Maybe some of it will be new to you or inspire you. So we'll see. So we're going to jump right into a technique that I use when it comes to binding my quilts. And I'm going to put up here on the screen a certain brand of thread. You may have heard of this thread. It's by monfil. It's called Invisifil. And you can buy it in single rolls. This is a picture actually of a pack. But Invisifil is basically a very fine thread. It is a polyester, 2-ply polyester that has cotton characteristics to it, but it's like an 80 weight.
It's 100 weight.
What, that particular one. You can get it as 100 weight, but what I buy is about an 80 weight on it too. So it comes in different weights. Anyways, the higher the number on thread, you'll remember, the thinner the thread. I use this to bind my quilts. Why? Because I use one of the lightest colors, almost a white. It's almost transparent. And the properties of Invisifil, when you get them that light, is they kind of take on the color of whatever you're sewing them into. Not exactly, but enough that it's really not noticeable. So it's not like, you remember the days of, and I guess you can still get it, of invisible thread, and it was like fish line. And it was very, very difficult to sew with. I know I tried some once, and it was like, forget it. But Invisifil is just like sewing with regular thread, but it's very thin, it's very strong, and so when you're sewing your binding on, and I do machine binding, I don't do the hand sewing, okay? If you do hand sewing down of your bindings, and if you're good at hand sewing, I know you can hide your stitches, okay? But I don't do that. This works really well for me because it doesn't matter what color the front of my quilt is or the back of my quilt, you really can't see my stitching. And I do it very close to the edge as well of the binding when it comes over to the front, the folded edge. And I'm loving doing that now. I wish I'd figured this out a long time ago. And I don't know where I got the idea from. I'm sure I didn't come up with it on my own. I probably saw it on
Didn't
something.
you start using it for applique?
Oh, that's right. I was using it for applique. That's where I got the idea. It's great for applique if you don't want to see the stitching on your applique, especially if you've got an applique that you're going to have to keep changing the colors of threads if you want to match it up. And I don't know if you remember the color splash quilt I did, the big huge quilt that had all the applique on it. Well, the first few appliques I actually used colored thread to match the appliques, but that was tiresome. So then I thought, well, I've got this Invisifil stuff. Why not try that? Worked like a charm. And then I thought, what other applications? So I came up with the binding. So, if you don't want to see a line of stitching, or if you don't stitch very straight, And binding, people will look at the binding. If you want to keep a nice something that doesn't stand out, if you're a little bit crooked, Invisifil. And you can get it all in different colors. You can get it in different packages. This is a package of, I just put it up there so you can see it. You can get it in single. Your local quilt store probably sells it as well. It's by Wonderfil. So that's one of my tips. What do you got?
Oh, okay. So this stuff.
Oh, this stuff. You love this stuff.
It's called Steam-A-Seam. I always use the light kind. There's two kinds, a regular kind and a light. The light works a little better in that it's easier to work with. Both work. But anyway, this isn't a quarter-inch size, right? And I use that to hold down some of my seams sometimes when I'm...
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, when I'm doing a shirt. It was introduced to it by the guy that was teaching my class to hold down some of the seams and that when you're stitching. So let's say I do an invisible pocket like I do here, right? So I create the pocket to match the fabric and everything else. And just before I stitch the pocket down, I will tack it down with this Steam-A-Seam. And what it is basically there's a glue side. It's a glue type of thing, right? And it's heat activated. So it is the tape is paper on one side and glue on the other side. And what you do is you put it down on your seam and you iron it, and then you pull the paper part off, and so you're left with a layer of glue. And then what you do is, like in my case, I put a pocket down. And I press all the way around the pocket. I put the Steam-A-Seam all the way around the pocket, except at the top, of course. And then I press it down with the iron, so I have a perfectly attached pocket to my shirt that matches the pattern, right? And then I go over it with stitching around the edges just to fasten it down properly. I use this on hems for my shirts to hold the hem down before I stitch it. I will use it for the button bands to hold the button band together before I stitch it. I'll use it on a zipper to hold the zipper in before I stitch it.
A lot of uses.
So this is a really must-have for when I'm making garments.
Now, what's it cost on average?
A packet of this has...
it'll be Canadian dollars we're talking.
Yeah, it is. I got... 40 yards of a quarter inch. It has 2 rolls, so 20 yards a roll. And it usually runs around $10 Canadian for one of these.
So for 40
I
yards.
usually buy it on Amazon. Yeah, it's about
So it's
$10.
not expensive.
No.
Really. Now, there are some cheap buggers out there, I've heard of this, who say, yeah, but I've got Steam-A-Seam at home on a big roll or big sheets of it. I can just take it and cut them using my ruler, and I can just, I'm a rotary cutter, and cut my own quarter-inch strips. Yeah, you can. But here's the problem. If it comes on a roll, the roll, it'll all curl up on you. Like on those big rolls, if you buy, that's how I buy my Steam-A-Seam, in a big box of it. And for $10 for 40 yards,
and sometimes they go on sale and you can buy it for less. That's $10 Canadian. It's probably around $6 or $7 in the US. Might even be cheaper depending on where you shop, because sometimes in Canada this goes on sale and you can get it for $6 a box. So, and then I'll stock up. So it's actually one of the main things I use when I'm doing a shirt or doing any kind of sewing project. If I have 2 seams I want to hold together really nice and straight, I'll put this on first before I sew it. So,
and actually I've heard of people using it for quilting too, for difficult parts in a block, and that sometimes they will use that. Like we also have in the quilting world, we have like Acorn precision pressing adhesive. Acorn's pressing, what do they call it? Spy Acorn. Anyways, most of you know what I'm talking about. And, it's basically glue. And it works the same way. So, you could use this too for that as well. But it's very
And
handy.
it is a very light glue, so doesn't really add any bulk or anything.
Well, it doesn't
like
stick to your needle, right?
No,
Doesn't
yeah, actually, it won't stick to your needle, so it's very like not like other products
heat and
with
bond.
heat and bond. One of the ladies in my group decided that she didn't want to use that because she wasn't going to run out and buy other stuff that she's already got stuff. So she had heat and bond, and she was cutting the heat and bond to strips. But then she found out that it was gumming up her needle. So
Yeah. So yeah, and if it does gum up your needle, you need to take a little cotton swab or Kleenex or something, soak or a little cloth, soak it in rubbing alcohol, and then clean your needle off.
I
But what a
mean,
pain!
this is so convenient because it's in a roll and it's exactly the correct width that you need to use. And so why cheap out?
Does it come in other widths?
Yeah, it does. Actually, you can get this in half. This is a 1/4 inch, but you can get them in 1/2 inch as well. I don't really have a lot of use for the 1/2 inch. So, but I mean, if you have a particular project you're using and you need a 1/2 inch steam machine, that would work too.
Yeah. So yeah, some of you may have heard of it before. Maybe this news to you, but it's got potential for a lot of uses actually. So another tool that I absolutely love, and I only got this, I was quilting for a while before I got one of these. Never thought I really needed one. I'd seen them. And you probably know it by the word awl. I call it a stiletto. Either one is an acceptable term for it. But basically, it's a long pointy thing on the end of a handle. And you might say, if you're not familiar with this, what do you do with it? All kinds of things.
Yeah, I use it a lot too.
Yeah. Like when you're piecing like really small pieces and you're got your fingers right up near the needle of your sewing machine, I don't know about you, but I really don't want to pierce my fingers with a sewing machine needle. I will use this. I have found it's also really great for making accurate blocks because when you put your two pieces of fabric together and cutting, sometimes we go out a little bit and you got to match up two ends and you get down to the one end and you've got a piece of your fabric that you're joining hanging over a little bit, and then you have to decide, well, am I going to trim that off? Well, it depends. It may be you don't want to trim that off. So what I do is I will, when I get close to that end, and I know there's going to be maybe a 1/16 of an inch of that hanging over the edge, I'll take the stiletto, hold down the fabric, put the corners together, hold it down with the stiletto, and hold it as it goes into the machine. And because of the feed dogs, they're pulling underneath, it pulls it even, and everything matches up. Okay, now it's not going to do that if you're out by 1/2 inch or something like that. Yeah. But it does help with that. But just holding down pieces as well when you're going under. But I use it for all kinds of things.
Like there's on garments, especially shirts, there's a little spot right at the collar. This isn't a good collar. On this collar, there's a little spot here where you'll have a little piece of fabric hanging out of the corner when you're sewing it together. And the awl is good at tucking it under while you're sewing it. And you really need that to be there. You can't really cut it off because it may end up fraying in the long run. And so the awl is good at shoving that little piece underneath. And the other thing that's good is I don't usually put snaps on things, but you can put snaps on the front of a shirt if you want to. And the awl is good to make a hole into the back of the shirt where you can put the little there's a little piece that sticks up that you have to put the snap in. And so actually the awl is really good at making a decent.
They're very, very sharp. They're very sharp.
Rather than trying to punch a hole through your fabric, you can punch a small enough hole that you can push the snaps through.
And that's usually what people associate awls with. They're meant for punching holes with it, but there's so much more. The other thing is too, I use it when I'm doing my binding. You know how you want to get that 45-degree angle when you come to the corner. So, you've got your binding, you push it up to the top, you go from the corner and that. Well, it's great for holding that down, and it's also great for getting it in exactly the right spot, because I take the awl, and when that piece is flipped up over here, I put the awl right up against the edge of my quilt, flip the fabric back over, the binding back over, and I get it exactly where I want it. And when I'm flipped the quilt over to do the corners there, you know how you've got your mitered corner? Well, you're getting close to the needle, and that's when sometimes that mitered corner is going to slip on you a little bit. It won't be as nice, you know, on the angle. You just use the awl to hold that down underneath the needle, and away you go. So yeah, it is an indispensable tool as far as I'm concerned. I wish I had started using it on day one. I didn't. But then again, I didn't do a lot of things on day one of all of that.
And there's all kinds of other things that you will find
There's
that
all
might come across thinking, oh, I could use this. I've even used it. It sounds stupid, but I've even used it to pry a little plastic thing off the top of our taps so that I can get out the screw.
Multiple uses in multiple areas of your home. Yeah. Yeah, true with that. So yeah, and they're not expensive. You can see this one's on Amazon, $10.01 Canadian. You can buy them in your local quilting store. You're going to pay more. I can guarantee you're going to pay more for it. Like, I think at my local one, they're about $15 or something like that. All Canadian prices we're quoting here today. Okay, people. That means about 2 cents in the States, whatever.
Yeah, like I think this one, I bought this one actually. I have a second. I have a couple of these stilettos. I think I paid about $10 for it at our quilt store.
Yeah, okay. Well, maybe I'm wrong then about that. Whatever. But they're worth the money. They really are. And it's not that much. And believe me, you will use it once you get it. Okay, so next thing thought we would talk about here. Let me put this up. And this one's going to seem... I can't live with... Oops, that's the wrong thing. I want to go here. I can't live without these. I buy them in the gross lots, pretty much, in all shapes and sizes. And that's 3M Command strips and hooks. These are the most wonderful invention since sliced bread. How do I use them? I use them to hang things on the wall. I use them to hang my quilts on the wall. In fact, right behind us, actually, I have a picture here.
Yeah, just don't take them off.
Okay, I was going to get to that. Okay, here you go. There's a couple of quilts. They're right behind us right now. I use them along with these little rings, which I'll talk about in a minute, to put my quilts on display. Now, what's the advantage of this? Well, one, they're not supposed to mark your walls. Okay, this is what Walter's alluding to. Okay, they have a little tab on them, as you probably know. See if they have a picture here. Yeah, down here, you see at the bottom it says 3M. There's an arrow pointing down. The idea is there's two sticky sides to this. One side goes on the inside of the hook, and the other side goes on the wall. And when you want to remove them, you're supposed to take that little tab and just pull down on it, and it stretches out, and the whole thing peels off. Yes and no. For most cases, it does. But when I was redoing the sewing room down here, I had some things, they'd been on the walls for a long, long time. And when I pulled them down, they took the drywall with them. So, like, it was a mess.
So beware.
So beware about that. Now, they do come with instructions for preparing your wall properly for this. I think this is something new because I don't remember ever seeing that on a package before, but then again, maybe I haven't read it, which is probably more the case. I don't know. They have a little X here. I don't know what the X is for. Do not hang frame pictures on hooks. Okay, yeah, because they will fall off. But they have ones for pictures as well. Oh, you see here, removes cleanly. There's a picture right there.
But that's on tile.
That one's on tile, yeah. But they say it's supposed to be on almost any surface. But there's 1,001 uses for it. But I just learned the other day that there is a type of one that's Velcro. So you have two pieces. One piece has the sticky like the hook ones do for hanging on the wall. And the other piece is the Velcro on the other side. And what someone was telling me on one of the sew days was that they use these large ones that you can get them. You can get them in various sizes. They use the large ones to hang their quilts. So basically, they're able to stick one half to the quilt top and the other half to the wall. And then when they want to change it out, they just peel the quilt off and put up a new one with it, which is kind of interesting. I don't know. Now, I'm assuming they're just sticking them to the quilt, but I'm not sure how well that would hold. Maybe they're sewing them in, but if you're going to sew it in, you might as well do a sleeve. It's the way I look at it. But I can think of other uses for the Velcro ones. I've never owned any of those. I need to order some of those. But they're great for all kinds of things. I know people who use them on their walls to hang their rulers up, vertical space. And I used to do that too, but I have ruler racks now, and I changed that around.
Or you could baste sew it into the quilt or something.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, with it. But I like my other method though, which is the using these little curtain ring clips. And that's what I'll show you what I'm talking about here now. Oops. Well, I guess I don't have, I thought I had a picture of those, but I do have a picture of what I'm talking about if I find the right thing. Here we go. Bear with me, people. Yeah. I use these with my design wall, which I'm going to come to in a moment. What I'm talking about are these rings that are up here. They're curtain rings for curtain rods. And they come in various sizes, but they have this little clip on them. And that's what I clip my quilts up with. If you look up here, you see. And so, in a sense, if I want to put another quilt up here that's maybe slightly different in size, I don't have to worry about moving my hooks so much, I can place these rings wherever I want them. I have literally hundreds of these rings. I use them for all kinds of things. I use them for my display, my design board, so you can see here. And this is the other thing I want to talk about. That is something I cannot live without, is my design board. I don't have room to have a permanent design board. So I hooked up a curtain rod to my bookshelf, which actually is my fabric shelf. All my fabrics are on that shelf in behind. And I put these rings on here. And these rings hold up my design wall. But here's the beauty of this. When I don't need a design wall, just like a shower curtain, all I need to do is, I don't unhook it from those clips. I just slide the whole thing over, and I have a little piece of ribbon that I tie around it, sort of like one of those things you put on curtains when you pull them back.
Oak tree.
Yeah, around the old oak tree. Yeah, it's not yellow, it's black. And it just folds over to the one side. And it works like a charm. This particular display board, though, is also a Fons and Porter. It's a portable one. It's basically a lot of money for something that you can buy at the dollar store. You can buy yourself, and everybody knows this, I'm sure, you can buy yourself a vinyl tablecloth that has a flannel backing to it, usually in the dollar stores, that are a good size, and you can do the same hookup with that. Now, mine's getting a little worn. And if you notice over in this one side, I don't know if you can see my arrow right there. Okay. Little worn. Reason is it's tearing, because behind here I have a Velcro strip. One half is on this piece of material. The other half is on the edge of the bookshelf, and it holds this taunt. And I'm thinking...
Taunt.
Yeah, that's what I said, taunt. Tight. Yeah, like a drum. Yeah. What I'm thinking of doing is redesigning this part. I'm going to put a longer piece of Velcro along here. I'm going to fix this little worn part up. I'm just going to stitch a piece of fabric. I don't even know if I'll stitch it. I may just steam it. Piece of fabric on here as well, just to reinforce this edge. And yeah, when I pull it across, I just push down on the Velcro. It keeps everything nice and tight, like a drum. And away you go. So it works out for me really well. with it. So that's another little tip I thought we'd share with you. Okay. You got something?
Um, yeah, something. This is kind of odd. For little rulers that you use when you're sewing, a lot of people go to the store, buy one of these little rulers, right, for sewing,
Oh yeah, heavy
right?
ruler or
And
whatever.
I always hate them because they bend like crazy, especially you just throw them in your bag and they end up bending. So we were talking at a sew group one day, and people have been buying these. You buy these like at an automotive store or something like that, and they're nice and stiff and flexible, or not
They're
flexible.
they're stiffer than this.
Yeah, I know.
'Cause look at the
They're really
wows in
nice,
this.
nice quality ruler, right? And they're a little bit they're about the same price as one of these ones that you for about $10 or something like that. And they have a little guide that slides back and forth for your measurements. And this one is in both metric and imperial. So it is a kind of a handy little tool to use instead of one of these. And I also bought just a plain old metal ruler, a little short one at a place like that as well, which is also handy to use just to, if you want to go in and I want to measure my button band or something like that. And again, it's nice and stiff and nice little ruler.
And
to
is it
use.
in both metric and
Yeah, this
linear?
one's in both metric and linear. So it's really handy to use for instead of one of these things.
So there you go. You can go off and
Yeah,
buy
buy
sewing
them.
stuff
Go into a
automotive.
hardware store and buy stuff, and
Sometimes it's kind of neat just to walk through places like a Home Depot or in like a dollar store of some sort, and just go in and wander the aisles and look at things that are there, and you'll be with your mindset that you're just seeing if there's anything here that can be repurposed for use with your sewing or with your
yeah, like
quilting.
actually, I didn't bring it downstairs, but I have one of my sewing bags is actually a tool bag that I bought at Home Depot instead of like a sewing style bag. Now, mind you, it's black and yellow, and it looks like a tool bag, right? But it's handy. It has pockets inside
It's
of it
very
and
well
stuff
made.
like this. Really well made and everything. And it's probably the fraction of a cost of one that you would buy in a sewing store, because that is if you don't mind black and yellow, and it looks industrial. But because some of the ladies in the sewing store would laugh at my tool bag, but I said, well, it's really functional. And then they said, how much did you pay for it? And I said, well, $25 or something like that, or $30. And they're carrying a bag that cost them $80.
But their bags are so pretty.
Theirs are pink and
they're so pretty.
teal and
This
have
is
flowers on
this
it.
is the man's bag.
Yeah.
I'm a man and I sew my bag on the table. But saying what Walter's just said about like going and finding things that are meant more for tools, I'll show you what I keep my wonder clips in on my cutting table. This is a little plastic box. You can buy these at the dollar store as well. You don't have to go to the Home Depot to get something like this. They're meant to hold screws and nuts and bolts and things, but I use it to hold my wonder clips. That's what it looks like opened up, and it does a great job. I can't live without it. That's where my wonder clips live. And the thing is, too, they're like a scoop the way it's designed on the bottom. So it's easy to grab them when you like putting your hands in, pulling out a handful of them, not a problem with it. And easy to put them all back in there too, as well. Instead of those dinky little boxes that they come in when you buy the wonder clips, and they lock down so things won't fall out of them if you want to carry them with you to a sewing class or a retreat or something like that. Actually, I'll put a rubber band around it just to make absolutely sure. But little things like this, doesn't have to be this particular one. Just look in the aisles of the hardware section or that where tools are. You'll probably find all kinds of little boxes. And many of you probably know that because you probably have already bought, those things with all the drawers in them for your needles and maybe some thread and things like that. So yeah, Um, what else have you got over there?
Okay. I have this other thing that I bought. Actually, it's at a leather store. And
Ooh, leather store.
if you're sewing a shirt pattern or something like that, a lot of times you need to notch your patterns to so that you can see what's the front and the back of the sleeve or something like that, or match up two pieces. And this is a leather notcher that I
Ooh.
bought, and it works on fabric too. So when you go to see those notches that you have on your pattern, I just go in and it notches a nice little 1/4 inch or a little less than a 1/4 inch notch into each of the little spots, and that way I don't have to try and use the scissors to notch them or something like that. It's nice and fast, and I really like using this. So
I'm just trying to think if there was something that could utilize that in quilting. I don't know.
it wasn't that expensive. You can buy them on Amazon. I bought it, happened to be at a leather store. I bought it online, and I saw it and I thought, well, I'll give this a try, and I really like it. I like using it. Sometimes if I use the scissors, I accidentally make my notch a little too big. But with this, it's really great. It just makes a perfect little notch.
And where did you get that?
I got this at a leather store in Toronto, but I did notice that they sell them on Amazon as well.
They sell everything on Amazon for it. So that's a cool little thing. Okay, so talking about, like I was talking about my clips, how I organize them, how I keep them in one spot. Well, I thought we'd talk a little bit too about some other organizational things. I make lists about things I want to do, and then I make lists about the lists and things like that. But one of the things that I use every day for multiple purposes is an electronic device. It's a note keeper, and it comes with, if you've got Word, not WordPerfect, Word, as in, Microsoft Word, either on your Mac or on your PC computer, then you already have this, but you may never have used it before. And it's called OneNote. And here's a screenshot of what it looks like, what mine looks like. OneNote allows you to basically organize all kinds of things. So you see you have this column, which I can add all kinds of things to. So I keep things in here organized. Oh, I was going to pull that down. I can't pull it down because this is a screenshot. And then within each of these categories, I have subcategories. And then over here, I have my actual notes. Like here, you can see a planning sheet for, an upcoming one of my vlogs. But I use this constantly. It's a little, now you can have a sticky note feature, which most computers actually come with. And you can put these sticky notes all over, electronic sticky notes. But what I found was trying to keep those organized, and I'd lose them on the screen. This is all in one place. And the other thing about this is it will sync up with your other devices. If you're using a iOS device like a Mac computer, as I do, and you've got an iPad or an iPhone, anything that I put in OneNote here will appear on my iPad and on my phone in OneNote there, and vice versa, which means it's always currently updating as you do it, so you don't have to worry about transferring from one device to another device. And I think it has the same facility if you're using a Windows computer, but I think it works with, I don't know if it works with an iPhone. I think it works with an Android phone for that. But I love it. And it does so much because I can also put images in this if I wish to. And a lot of it is just drag and drop for putting these things in. You see the things that are in blue, those are hyperlinks. So I click on one of those and they go out to my browser and open up the web page or whatever. So you can organize things in here as well. You can sort whatever.
So what is that? Is that an app?
It's an app, but it comes with Word and Microsoft Word, and it's called OneNote. They've had it for a long time, but I never really used it until I got well, actually, I used it on my Windows computer for a while, and I use it constantly, all the time. I love it. I absolutely love it. And you can print from it as well if you need to. So it's basically a word processor, but it's allows you to organize things in a very straightforward way. That's one thing I do for organization. You do anything for organization?
Not really.
Oh, okay. You're just not. Yeah, you have a floor. That's right. Another thing I'm just currently trying out. Um, this is what some people might call a vision board. It's just a bulletin board. I find that I get working on so many different projects. I try to list them, and I will use OneNote for that as well. But I need something that's in my face all the time. Like OneNote, I'm moving from one note to another note and everything like that. So I had this old bulletin board sitting around. So I decided I would just type up, actually, this is my OneNote, and I printed it out and I stick it on this bulletin board, and it sits over on the far side of my sewing room, and I see it. Anytime I go to my sewing machine, I see it. And it just reminds me of the things that I want to do. Now, right now, I'm trying it out this way, but I'm thinking that I could also use it as a vision board. Like if I find some fabric or something I like and I want to remember I had that, if I take a little swatch of the fabric, I can put it on here. If I see a picture of a quilt that maybe down the road I want to use, or a block or something, I can just stick that onto the bulletin board and it becomes a vision board. I've done vision boards before as well. When I was doing crafting, I had one as well. I still have it, but it's got other stuff on it now, and it's a much bigger bulletin board. It's over off by a corner you can't see right now, but I'm trying this. It's a form of organizing. The other thing I can't live without are my project boxes, and I'm sure you've seen these. These were originally designed for scrapbooking because they're 12. They will hold 12 by 12 paper, but it makes it really great for storing blocks you're working on. I will put all of my fabric in one of these boxes with the pattern and everything, and you can see I label them. That's one thing I forgot to talk about. I love my label machine. I label everything because I don't remember where anything is. So all my drawers are labeled in this place. I've even started labeling my fabric shelves, like this is Christmas, this is Indigenous, this is Australian, this is African, like kind of fabric that way. But this is really great. Plus, they're very portable. If you're going to a class or you're going to a retreat, if you have everything up there. Sorry, just got interrupted by a scammer call. Yeah. Anyways, as I was saying about the project box, they're great for taking stuff with you on the road, as well, keeping everything organized. I buy mine at Michael's. I think Joann's, for you Americans, they have them as well. I'm sure you've seen them. But they're great for organizing stuff. Can't live without those either. Already showed you that. Okay, so what do you got? Or actually, I'll do this one next because we both have this, but we both bought them in different places. And I'll show you a picture of it. It's a magnetic bar. You've probably heard of them. This one is one I bought from a company in Canada called Lee Valley. It was terribly expensive.
Apparently, they do have Lee Valley in the U.S.
Oh, they do too? Oh, okay. And you can get different ones on Amazon. In fact, I think I've got a picture here of this. Yeah, this one's a 4-pack of 12-inch magnetic tools. They're meant basically to hold kitchen knives or to hold tools, that kind of thing. Anything that's metal. And they're fairly strong. Now, the one I have is really strong and works really well. And this is where I have it mounted on the side of a cabinet just below my embroidery machine. And this has all of the tools that I use on a regular basis with my embroidery machine. So it's right there at my fingertips. I think I paid around $20 for this. It might have been more than that. However,
yeah, so I actually have two of them, but I only mounted one of them. I bought one at the dollar store.
It wasn't $1 though.
No, it was $4. But it works pretty good. It's not as good as the one Steve has. The one Steve has has a stronger magnet on it, but mine will hold all my scissors and stuff like that as well. So it works pretty good. So I've got mine hung up upstairs as well. So
yeah. How come? Oh, so you bought two of them, did you?
I bought two and thinking I put a second one somewhere else, but I haven't put it anywhere else yet. Oh. So
You might want to put it on. Oh no, you don't have space under there where your embroidery machine is.
No.
All right. So yeah, so you don't have to spend an arm and a leg on them. And well, like you said, that one, it's not as strong as mine, but it still holds.
Yeah, I still hold
So
my scissors and stuff
there you
like
go.
that. So
Mine's really strong.
I mean, I can, if I brush against them, a scissor might knock off on the one I've got, whereas on yours, I doubt you.
Yeah, no, they stay very well. You
Yeah,
know.
so that may be a consideration. The one I've got isn't quite as strong, but it works for me. So,
So what else have you got in your little collection of interesting things to show?
well, I just have, well, I know I was talking about, you said about buttons, right?
Yeah.
Well, I purchased just generic type buttons from Cleaner Supply, and they're like the ones that I've got on my shirt. They're just like plain old shirt buttons, but they come in all different colors. So, and Cleaner Supply, you can get. I use the little top buttons are for your shirt are 14L buttons, and 14L, and the ones I use on the front of my shirt are 18L. That's the size, right? And you can get them at Cleaner Supply. They come in little bags of 144 buttons, and they're about $6 or $7 for 144 buttons. A little cheaper, probably in the U.S. more, but around $4 for 144, which is
No, shut up, button your lip.
I mean, they're just plain buttons, but they're for a man's shirt. They work out very well, and they're very inexpensive when you buy them that way. You can buy specialty buttons if you go into a clothing store. I mean, unless they're a unique shape button that you want to get, you might get them. But if you just want plain old buttons for a shirt, these are very economical to buy from Cleaner Supply. And I did just go on to Amazon a while back, and I decided I wanted some funky buttons. So these are technically all craft buttons, but they're kind of funky. They're all funky colors and stuff, and they're good. You can't really use them for the collar, but you can use them for down the front of your shirt. And I've done that in a few of our shirts that we've done. I've used these. So, and this wasn't that much. I think I paid about $14 for the box of different colored buttons. And so I might go on and look around on Amazon some more for some more specialty buttons when I want a more unique looking shirt front. But that's what I use for buttons.
So, and Walter mentioned Cleaner Supply. That link is always a permanent link in our show notes below. And you've heard us talk about Cleaner Supply before. There's we have it here in Canada, and you have it in the States as well. It may also be called. There's another name for it.
Yeah, Wawak.
Wawak.
WAWAK or something like that.
Wawak. You can get all kinds of sewing related things there. If you want zippers, you can get a lot of zippers and really inexpensive and good quality. You need, like, if you're making a bag and you want some mesh for pockets inside or whatever, they have that coming out of their yin yang.
They have a selection of threads.
I bought webbing for handles on a bag. I kind of didn't really read the description. I got 100 yards of webbing. I have enough webbing to make 3 million bags, okay, over time. And they come in different colors and all really, really inexpensive. So you might, if you've never checked out Cleaner Supply, just do a search for Cleaner Supply or go to the show notes below this today. You'll find the link right there for it and check it out. Mind you, the link that's below too is the Canadian one, but I think if you just stick a com after it, you'll probably get the American one in there as well. Do you have something else you're reaching for?
Actually, I use this. This is you can use it as sort of a hump jumper as you want. It's got a little ruler and it's got a point at the end. They're very common. You can buy them in.
It's for poking out corners.
Yeah, the points to poke out corners. And I usually put a shank on my buttons for to sew in the buttons. So I'll put this underneath the foot of the sewing machine, and it'll leave me a little bit of space when it's sewing the button on. I particularly like this one because it'll use it for smaller buttons, and it doesn't leave as big a space.
What's the ridge on it for? There's a right here.
It's, well, this part of the ruler is fatter than the other part, right? This will give you a lower shank.
Oh, okay.
Right, a skinnier shank, whereas this one will give you a thicker shank. And it's good because, I mean, if you don't do that, then your button sews right up against the fabric, right? and then when you want to try and button up your shirt, they're really hard to button up.
Mm-hmm.
So if you use one of these to leave a little bit of a space between when you're sewing when you're sewing the button through, it will give you that extra little space when you want to button up your buttons to make it easier.
And I see you have another tool that I also have and absolutely love, and I think I told you about it.
Yeah, that's what I decided to get one of these, and this is a oiling pen. You put oil in it. Oh, I forget how it works.
No, you
put oil in it, and
the cap comes off at the top, and you pour in some oil, sewing machine oil,
and it gives you 1 drop of oil on your
on my computer. Thank you very much.
1 drop of oil.
Excuse me while I clean up on aisle 3.
I didn't realize there was some in the
Yeah,
bottom.
you're an idiot.
Give me another Kleenex.
Oh, geez.
Well, you gotta watch out because it will spill.
Crepes. Actually, it doesn't spill. I use mine all the time, but I think someone overfilled his because it doesn't take that much in there. And when you push the button on the top, 1 single drop of oil comes out on the end of the little spout on it. And you know the little hole where the wick is underneath your bobbin in your sewing machine? You get 1 drop of oil. Rather than if you use the bottle and if you squeeze a little hard, you get a lot of oil all over it and you're mopping it up, kind of like what we're doing now.
Well, I think what happens is when it's in my bag,
I think you're an idiot.
But anyway,
Yeah, really.
But it's handy to have when you go somewhere sewing or something. You can shove it in with your bag of stuff, and then you've got a supply of oil in case you need to use it.
I'm just mopping up. Glad you didn't put it down inside my key.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Oh, look at there's oil. Anyways, okay, mop up on aisle 3. Where can you get one of these? Amazon. They're not expensive. I forget. I think they were under $10, something like that with it. Yeah, keep playing with it.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Okay, fine. Anyways, yeah, we both have those. I love mine, and I think it was can't think of her name. She was one of my presenters actually a few retreats ago. And that's where I learned about it. She talked about it as one of her favorite things. And I thought, ooh, this is cool. Okay, so another thing that you may have heard of, and this is for cutting your fabric. Donna Jordan of Jordan Fabric is the one that I heard this about. And it was using these dumbbells to hold down your rulers on long pieces of fabric. And when I square up a quilt, I do this. I use my longest ruler when I'm squaring up a quilt, and you know what happens. Your ruler will slip. And you're also, because you're probably lining up against a straight border to trim off the edges of the quilt after you've quilted it, it will slide when you get reaching up further up. You put this at the up at the top part of your ruler, and it really works well. And these were, I bought one of these anyways. I bought at Shoppers Drug Mart, a drugstore. They were over where the geriatric stuff is, you know, to keep people, you know, helping with their muscles. They're like 3 pounds, something like that. And they're vinyl coated. So yeah, and colors, well, if you're picky, I wasn't. I got whatever I could get. One was pink, one was purple. I also made some of my own as well. And these are 3D printed little jars, and inside there's pennies, because we don't use the penny anymore in Canada, and I used to save pennies, so I had a lot of pennies. And they fill up one of these little jars really well, and then I glue the lid down onto it, and I use these when I'm laying out a long strip of fabric. And, you know, I'm trying to keep it straight along maybe one of the lines on my cutting mat or whatever with it. And they work very well, but they're my homemade thing. I got the idea because Walter bought pattern weights.
Yeah. I didn't bring them downstairs, but yeah, you can use pattern weights to weigh down your patterns when you're cutting them. so that your pattern's weighted down and you can cut out your fabric and you don't have to worry about sticking yourself with pins.
Which is probably a good thing because nobody wants blood on their project. So the last thing that I have, I think it's my last thing I have, is this Acorn Easy E-Sprayer. I have a problem with Mr. Bottles. Now, Acorn Precision Pressing Solution is excellent. If you want flat seams, you get that. It's better than Mary Ellen's Best Press. It's better than any of those others. And it's a Canadian product, and I'm sure you've heard about it. And it is now available in the States. Many quilting stores are carrying the solution for it. You can get a starter kit that comes with a Mr. Bottle, right? And what I've had problems with the Mr. Bottles, no matter what kind that I've bought, after a while, they don't mist anymore. The trigger won't release. It just goes in and stays in, kind of a thing. So they came out with this. It's a pricey little thing. As you can see up here, that's Canadian dollars, $130.90. Available online. Many different places you can get it. And it was given to me as a gift from a friend. And I was a little skeptical about it. She absolutely loves it. And okay, I'll tell you my friend. It's Stephanie from Stephanie Stitches. She gave it to me as a gift. And at first I was a little disappointed in it because I couldn't get it to mist properly. And I thought, oh, here we go. Same problem. It's just electric. It has a USB cord that you plug it in to recharge it. You hold in a little button, not the button you see on there. This is a misleading thing. That button does something different. There's a little button underneath that that you click on. And then I figured out that I didn't have it adjusted properly in that. I use it quite a bit. And it works very well. It may clog up if you've let it sit for a while, the solution, but it's really easy. The little nipple, the little sprayer head up at the top, the little plastic piece, this little piece right here, if you can see my cursor, it'll unscrew and you can run it under hot water and just rinse it. And they actually give you instructions for if you have a problem like that. And it works fine. It's great. Nice fine mist. And with the Acorn Precision stuff, it works really well. But it is a pricey tool. But I love it. It's something I can't live without now with that. So, did you have anything else?
No, I don't really have anything.
Okay, well, before we end up, I did want to go over some of the comments in the past week from our past videos, just because some people wrote some very interesting things. We're not going to discuss these in any detail. One person, when like we were talking today and talking about Canadian prices, right? And I don't know how many times I've tried to explain to people on here the whole idea of exchange rate. And I don't know, but a lot of people seem to have a mental block mathematically when it comes to that. Americans seem to think that when we use the word dollar, that means American dollar, and that's all it means. And when you hear dollar, it means you're talking about American dollar. No, we use dollars in Canada as well. It's called dollar, but our dollar isn't the same value as an American dollar. And I'm not going to get into that, but there is something called an exchange rate, and it makes a lot of difference. So I was talking about fabric prices, that what I spent on that last haul. And this person says, all I can say after watching this, your prices in Canada are outrageous, big capital letters. It would be worthy to take a vacation to the USA and buy here. Best wishes to both of you. No, it is not an advantage. Yes, fabric is cheaper in the States when you look at the dollar amount and don't take into consideration exchange rates. If we went to the States and bought fabric, okay, we'd be paying for that in American dollars. Well, the price is in American dollars. If I'm putting it on my credit card, then that's going to get, when my credit card bill comes through, it's going to be translated into Canadian dollars. So something that might be $10 American, for me, I'm going to have to pay probably $13.50 for it because our dollar is only worth approximately 72 cents. I don't know what today's exchange rate is.
Well, I was just looking at if we buy a meter of fabric, which is $20.
Yeah.
Right. That's $14.83 American.
Yeah.
Right. But the thing is, that's a meter of fabric. That's 39 inches, not 36 inches.
No, I know. But
so
don't cloud the issue here. The thing is, what she's saying is she's thinking, well, we'll get a bargain. We come down the States and buy all kinds of fabric. No, we're still going to end up having to pay it in Canadian dollars. And our Canadian dollar isn't a dollar, American. Canadian dollar is roughly 72 or 73 cents. Okay.
So, but they still don't get it. They look at it as a dollar is a dollar. If you buy it $20 Canadian, and then you go to the US and pay something like $13 Canadian or whatever, you're saving $7.
But
you're not. We're paying the same amount.
Oh, well, anyways, let's get away from this because this comes up all the time. So I did get a message from the place in Cambridge we went to that we loved called Dancing Stitches, and the owners saw our discussion of it on our videos and wrote to us and said in the comment section, thank you so much for visiting our store. It was so lovely to meet the two of you and have a chat. Happy sewing with all your great new fabric and goodies, Susie and Paige. And thank you so much for the incredible review of our store. So kind. If we knew you were such YouTube celebrities, I laughed at this, we would have rolled out the red carpet for you guys, LOL. And you even remembered our names. Yes, well, we're not celebrities. But if you're in that area in Cambridge, go to Dancing Stitches. Great store. Absolutely loved it, as you know. Now, comment about Tula Pink, because you know how I have a love-hate relationship with Tula Pink fabrics. I love to hate them. Somebody wrote, to me, Tula Pink is all about expression and creativity. So if you're limited to what you use it for to certain genres, then to me, that is a type of sacrilege. The gnomes were adorable. I am not absolutely sure what this person meant. I tried to figure it out. I think what they're saying is you shouldn't limit your use of Tula Pink to just making a quilt. It works well in so many other things, which if that's what this person meant, I totally agree. Adam Sews makes beautiful bags using Tula Pink all the time. I've seen people do clothing in Tula Pink, which are not my style, but or maybe. There's lots of uses for it. I've said before, the reason I don't dislike Tula Pink, I admire her artistic ability and her creativity. It's just that I'm not sure how to use it in a quilt.
And the other thing, well, the thing for me is I don't really care for the colors that they use. The only Tula Pink that I've seen that I like are the ones that have the black and white pattern with some color in it. But the pinks and the teals are too girly for me.
But that's her trademark.
Yeah.
That's her trademark color. Okay. Another one we had a discussion about, if you take classes in certain stores, they make you buy the fabric for the project from them. You can't walk in and with fabric from your stash or something else. And we said we didn't think that was really right, that's a turnoff for me when it comes to where I'm going to buy fabric. And somebody else wrote, most of the stores in this area, wherever this person is from, require you to buy fabric from their store for classes. If you have fabric to use from your stash, they want you to buy an equivalent amount of other fabric in the store. You know what I'd be saying to them? Stuff it up your toot on that. And I'm not taking classes or buying anything from you ever again, because that just reeks.
Yeah, I would start boycotting the store.
Yeah. And then I mentioned the fact that I bought in one of the quilt stores in the Stratford area, I bought some stencil or template plastic to make a template for a pattern I bought from them. And someone made a suggestion of how you can make templates cheap. They said, I
guess, actually, I'm going to go back to that other one. What? If for some reason this store that you're talking about that requires you to buy fabric is giving you the class for free and requiring you to buy the fabric.
That might be different.
That might be a different take on it. But if you're paying $60 or $70 to take a class and they're requiring you to buy fabric from them, that's another story.
Yeah. You know, I didn't think of that, but then again, I don't know of any stores I've ever seen that give you the class for free. Maybe there are, but I've never run into one. But it's a possibility, I suppose. So one person, I cut it off, I think, but I know what it said. Making templates on the cheap. They suggested you go to the dollar store and you can buy cheapo. Now she called it cutting mats, but I think what she meant were plastic placemats.
Well, actually, you can buy cutting mats that are like that are almost clear.
Oh,
but they're like the ones that you a cutting board, but they're actually
okay.
a type of mat you can
Oh, I know
get.
what you're talking
Yeah.
about now. Oh, that may be what this person meant then. And yeah, I never thought of that because you can get those for a couple of bucks, right?
Yeah.
Template plastic can be a little bit pricier, but does the same job. All you need is something that's stiff so you can, cut around it without cutting into it, kind of a thing, or, to keep your whatever shape you're making. So, but that's a good idea. I hadn't thought of checking something like that out. And the last comment came with oh no, here it is. This is the comment they wrote. It threw me off because they started with this: enjoy your afternoon. Rent has always been one of my favorite plays. Okay, I think you have Dollar Tree up north of me in the US. If you have chance to go in one, look for the clear cutting mats. They have 3 for $1.25 US. They are smaller than a fat quarter, but great for making templates. They are clear, a good thickness, and cut easily. Just not with your fabric shears, she says. Save some money to get more awesome fabric. So yeah, that's what she's talking about. So when I saw cutting mat, I was thinking, rotary cutter mat, cutting mat. But what you just said, I know now we're talking about.
Yeah, it depends. Our Dollar Tree, so it's a Dollar Tree that's affiliated with the U.S., but the selection in Canada is much less than
than they have
in the U.S. So there's a very good chance that those things aren't in our Dollar Trees.
And Dollar Tree here used to be $1.25, like it was in the U.S., but Canadian $1.25. And now I think it's $1.50. It's gone up, and I don't know if it's gone up in the States or not. I did hear that it was. Yeah, it was going up in that, but still, that's cheap. I mean, that's still cheap. Okay, so yeah, so thanks everybody who put in some comments this week, and everybody continue to share your comments with us, and we'll read some of them when we do this as well, because we like to respond to them as well, and this is probably the easiest way to respond to them. So okay, so that's it for today. That was our random crap. I hope there was some stuff there you found useful with it all, and as I said, next week there may or may not be a So Chatty. Depends on what's happening. And yeah, hope you enjoy the rest of the week. Stephen and Walter live on Sunday afternoon as per usual, and all the other videos that come out. And do check the announcement video if you haven't already registered for the retreat, but you're thinking about doing so. It's up now, and it'll give you all the details. Okay, hope you have a great weekend coming up and great week, and we'll see you next time. Say goodbye, Walter.
Goodbye.